he literally said, "I have had enough of humans, I have had enough of humanity, and I am ready to die." He got himself onto the back of a water buffalo and headed out west to the mountains so that he could spend his last few years in solitude. In 25 years of trying to figure out humans, I have come to learn that largely we find ourselves either operating from a place of fear or operating from a place of freedom. I have read that in the Tao Te Ching, the author Lao Tzu had an opinion about this when he wrote, "There is no illusion greater than fear, and whoever can see through all fear will always be safe." And it seemed he might have had some advice for trying to get to the other side of fear when he wrote, "Mastering oneself makes you fearless." Join me on this journey of learning from Lao Tzu as we explore the 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching. Hello, welcome to A DAO a Day. This is meant to be a video series exploring the 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching, and exactly how far we get with this video series we'll have to see. It's an experiment and we'll see how it works out. So, A DAO a Day exploring the Tao Te Ching. What is the Tao Te Ching? Have you ever heard of the Tao Te Ching? Now, if you haven't ever heard of the Tao Te Ching, or you're not instantly ready with an answer of what the Tao Te Ching is, then let me help you out. This is something I am sure that you will recognize. This name right here, Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is said to be the author of the Tao Te Ching, and I am sure that you've seen many quotes attributed to Lao Tzu. Now, every word we know of Lao Tzu are words that came out of the Tao Te Ching. There aren't any words written from Lao Tzu at any other point in his life except for what he gave humanity when he wrote the Tao Te Ching. Now, Lao Tzu can be, or his name was written in a couple of other ways as well. You might have seen quotes attributed to Lao Tzu, or also the same human being, Lao Tzu. All of those quotes, or all of the quotes attributed to these names, Lao Tzu, Lao Tzu, or Lao Tzu, are written by the same human beings in the volume called the Tao Te Ching. Now, if the words Tao Te Ching still don't make any sense to you, I'm going to write them down over here. Tao Te Ching is what it sounds like. And if that's not familiar to you at all, it is because that is not how it's written. And you have probably come across some wisdom or some quotes that are written this way. The Tao Te Ching is the correct writing of the Tao Te Ching. So, who exactly was Lao Tzu, and what made him write the Tao Te Ching? Well, about 2,500 years ago in China, Lao Tzu became well known as a teacher, a wise person, imparting his teaching on the humans around him. And he had a couple of meetings with another famous name, Confucius. He was a few years older than Confucius, but they were said to have crossed paths a couple of times. Now, by the time Lao Tzu was about 80 years old, he literally said, "I have had enough of humans, I have had enough of humanity, and I am ready to die." He got himself onto the back of a water buffalo and headed out west to the mountains so that he could spend his last few years in solitude. So what happened when he got to the border is a border official said, "I can't let you go. All your wisdom is going to disappear into the mountains with you. You have to leave us something. Otherwise, we will be lost." And what Lao Tzu did was he promptly sat down, started writing, and came up with a volume of writings called the Tao Te Ching, which he left to the border official and then set off through the mist into the mountains and never to be seen again. Or at least that's what legend tells us what happened. So the book that he wrote, the Tao Te Ching, what does that mean then? What do the words mean? So let's start with the first one. Dao means the way, a way something could happen, or the way that something should be or could be. And Dai means strength or virtue, being virtuous. And then the last part of Tao Te Ching is Jing, which means scripture or book. The Tao Te Ching, the way, strength and virtue, or scripture and book. So in easy English, what the Tao Te Ching really is the book of how to live in a virtuous way. The book of how to live in a virtuous way. So in exploring the Tao Te Ching, I've read bits and pieces of it. I've never read it from start to finish. And I thought that while I'm getting ready to read it from start to finish, maybe I'll make videos of each of the verses of the Tao Te Ching and share it with everybody. The question that I want to have answered is, this book is 2,500 years old. Does it still have any value for us today? This is 2,500 years later. We live in a completely different world. Does it still have any value for us? And then I thought maybe, instead of just putting together a video with my thoughts, maybe I can find out if any of you have thoughts about the Tao Te Ching, about whether these words are still applicable to you 2,500 years later. Do you take any wisdom from it? Do you take any knowledge from it? Do you take any inspiration from these words after 2,500 years? So what I did was got a panel of experts together, and while we're getting ready to dive into the 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching, I thought as an introduction, I would ask a couple of you to find your favorite quotes from Lao Tzu. Now, if you go onto Google and you search quotes from Lao Tzu or quotes by Lao Tzu, all of the quotes you find are out of some of the verses of the Tao Te Ching. And let me share with you what my panel of experts came up with. Over to the experts. Welcome to the very first episode of A Tao A Day, which seeks to explore the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. And I have a very, to me, important question about the Tao Te Ching. This is a book that was written 2,500 years ago. And the question I have is it relevant to anyone today? Does it still have any relevance today, or is it outdated and old and no one's read it and no one knows about it and no one cares? So seeing as though we're not delving into the Tao Te Ching yet, we're not getting into the verses yet, today's video is a sort of a pre-discovery, pre-discussion before we dive into every single one of those verses. So what I would like is for each of you to quickly introduce yourself. We don't have the most diverse group today, but let us know which city and which country you are from as you introduce yourself as a fearless creator. Marcella, I would like you to go first.
Ta-da! I'm Marcella. My name is Marcella. I am not Marcella.
I like that so much.
And currently I am in Hilton, but normally from Randburg.
Right. Very good to meet you. Thank you, Marcella. Sonette, could we have you go?
I am the fearless creator, Sonette. I reside currently in Randburg. I am on a path of discovery and I fear nothing. Namaste.
Thank you so much. We got Walter and Israela next.
Ladies first.
Hello, I'm Israela. Inside in Tower Glen, Edenvale, and yeah.
I'm Walter. I'm Israeli's husband, and yeah, we live in Tao Te Ching, Edenvale, and yeah, I suppose this is my first meeting with everyone. So just to see what's going on, meet everybody, and I quite enjoyed the subject today with the DAO. I've heard a bit about it, and I suppose it is very relevant. It's just everyone has forgotten the meanings, I think, of what they actually mean, and lost the soul of it. So I think it was interesting. I wanted to hear about it today because it's just something that's caught my attention over the years. I hear it in The Power of Now. I hear it in books of Dr. Wayne Dyer, a lot of people. And so now just to unpack it a little bit and understand it more, go into it. So, yeah.
Thank you for joining, Walter. That's awesome. Thank you so much, man. Harshada.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Harshada and I stay in Baklu.
Thank you so much for joining us, Harshada. Rocco.
Yeah, my name's Rocco, and it's nice to see other people from Edenvale. I live just down the road in Greenstone.
Yeah. Good name, Rocco. Good name. My son's got his name's Rocco as well. Rocco, we call him Rocco, but it's also Rocco.
We're off to a good start.
Then,
I also haven't
read
go ahead, anything
Rocco.
about the DAO, so I don't know anything at all about the book or anything like that.
Awesome, man. Then, Ange, you're the only one not in South Africa at the moment.
Yeah, I'm the only one not from Joburg either. I'm from Cape Town. I lived in Johannesburg for a while, but I'm actually from Cape Town and I live in Wales, the UK.
Nice.
So we're all cozied up in winter, and you have summer at the moment.
Well, yes, it's summer at the moment, but don't forget this is Wales, which means that it's today is sunny, but it has been pissing down. It's not warm. It's probably a bit like a Cape Town winter some days, but it's beautiful. So I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining one bit. I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ange. Did I leave anyone out? Did we get everyone covered?
Yourself.
Yourself,
me.
yeah.
My name is Pierre, and I too am a fearless creator from Johannesburg, South Africa. I have, just like Walter said, I encountered the DAO mostly from listening to Wayne Dyer. And Wayne Dyer is credited as the person who made the DAO most famous in the Western world. And I've been wanting to... I know bits and pieces of it, but I've been wanting to get into from beginning to end, and it's not a long book. There's 81 verses, which doesn't take a long time to read. They're really short verses as well. And I've been wanting to read them all, and I decided instead of reading them all from back to front just on my own, I can just as well make a video on every verse and share that with everybody. And then we decided, Rocco gave me this idea, how about not just me reading a verse and putting it on a video, how about me discovering every verse with a bunch of other people who can also give their input on what that verse might mean to them. And I thought that was a really cool idea, so here we are today.
I think that is very cool.
I think it's such a nice exploration. I'd like to know... does anyone know anything about the DAO? So let's start this way. On this question, I'm not going to specifically ask everyone to say something, but drop something in the chat. Drop your name in the chat. Do you know anything about the DAO? And you can drop your name in the chat and just say, no, I know nothing, and that's also cool. Because I'd really like to know who is where. Rocco's already said that. No. I know about the name Tao Te Ching, but nope, I have not read it. I don't know much about it. Who else would like to drop in and say something about whether they have any experience of it? Yes or no? Ange, I think I saw you wanting to say something.
No, I'm just saying that I was trying to find the chat because I'm on my phone rather than a computer. I have very basic knowledge just from what I've seen, quotes of Lao Tzu. Nothing major, as you say. It's also just predominantly from the Wayne Dyer community that I have any sort of knowledge at all. But the quotes do stand out. They do seem to resonate with me on certain levels,
Yeah.
as just guidelines on how to live, really, more than instructions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right. It does. That totally makes sense. So, Nat?
Okay, so as you all know, I read it twice, from beginning till end, from last night, from yesterday afternoon till now. Okay. My one problem with all these gurus is they don't say it straightforward. They are so philosophical. You've got to like really go into it and understand what are you trying to say. Okay, so, and with my ADHD brain, that's like really, really, it's a lot. But yet you go through this and you look into it, and if you've done the spiritual, universal spiritual laws, if you read through them, a lot of it all aligns. It's all there. The message is always the same. But what I love about this is he states, my teachings are easy to understand and easy to put into practice. Yet your intellect will never grasp them. I agree. I totally agree. And then he says, if you try to practice them, you'll fail. Yes, we will fail in this realm. Definitely. So it's all there. It's all common sense. But yet, we all need to understand that, as Marcella quoted the other night, nothing is everything and everything is nothing. And it boils down to that. So you just got to look deeper and you got to understand. And my favorite part, I mean, I had so many of these little sayings that were like, they resonate with me, but having read it and understanding the context of it, my favorite part of it is the hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and subtle will prevail. And that is my favorite part of it.
Beautiful. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Soft is strong, slow is fast. Right, so diving into what everyone said here, pretty much, I've got Rocco saying, nope, don't know too much about it. Hershida saying, nope, no expert on the Tao Te Ching. Marcella saying, I'm a virgin on the subject. Walter and Ezra says, downloaded the book but have not read it yet. And I like Marcella's comment that says, I think it is heart language. It's made for your heart to understand and not your head. I like that a lot. So to catch up on a little bit of the story, a lot about Lao Tzu is myth and not necessarily based in knowledge. There's even a lot of contention on whether he actually did write the Tao Te Ching or not. But the most prevalent legend is that after having garnered some fame as a wise person in his area and being a contemporary of Confucius, studying at the same time and in some sense being a teacher of Confucius, when Lao Tzu had enough and decided he's moving out to the mountains, he's moving out to the west, and he's going to spend his last days in the mountains, a border official stopped him at the border and said, no, I'm not letting you pass, I'm not letting you go until you write down all your knowledge for us to keep, so we can keep sharing it after you are gone. And then he took some time to write, then handed over this writing with all of his wisdom, and then he proceeded to ride off on the back of a water buffalo into the mountains, never to be seen again. So we're not delving into all of the verses yet. Before we get into the Tao Te Ching, all we know is supposedly it was written by Lao Tzu. So to get a bit of an idea of whether there's any relevance for us today, in your life, I'd like you all to share your favorite quote from Lao Tzu. So I'm going to give you each a turn to read us that quote. And if you could, if you don't have any information around it, that's fine. If you just say, I just like this quote because it makes my heart feel good, that's perfect. If you have an example of where in your life this quote specifically means something to you, or maybe somewhere in the past these words meant something to you, or if you had known these words during a past experience, it would have helped you a lot. So could I ask Marcella to go first?
Really, Pierre? Come on.
Pick on Marcella Day. You didn't do your homework.
I did. I quickly did. I did. No. A little bit. I'm just trying to. Please go somebody else.
We can.
I'll go.
Fine, I'll go.
Cool.
Okay, so I read this actually for the first time this morning. I've seen quite a few of his quotes, but this one I read for the first time this morning. I haven't seen it before. And it says, a leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, we did it ourselves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my reaction to the quote. And I thought it is exactly how I am currently living my life. And how I see, well, those of you that I do know, living your lives. You know, we just by us being, we are able to teach. We are the change that is in the world. And I think that is just so powerful. It is unbelievably powerful because people don't even realize that change is happening to them.
That is so beautiful. Can I ask you just read the last few words? The last like the last sentence, I think it was.
Okay, when his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they say, we did it ourselves.
Leading so well that the people led don't feel like they were even led. They were empowered by his leadership.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Marcella, thank you for that one.
So beautiful.
Thank you so much, Marcella. I really appreciate that one. You see, I have not discovered that one yet, so we're all on this journey together. The next name, the next name I have on my list is Rocco.
Oh, okay. So let me just look at my list here. So it's quite simple. It's if you do not change direction, you may end up where you're heading. And I quite liked it because it gives a good sense of perspective. Because in order for you to change direction, you have to kind of take a step back and look at yourself or observe yourself to be able to change direction. You're not going to be able to unless you don't look at yourself holistically. So I quite like that, and I think that's, for me personally, how I live every day. I like to think I'm quite mindful, and so with that, every day I'm looking at myself objectively. So
I'd like you to repeat the quote for us again, please. That was so basic, but damn, it hits the nail on the head.
If you do not change direction, you may end up where you're heading.
If you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading.
Yeah, and it also, there's a strong sense of responsibility in that. It's also your responsibility to have perspective on yourself, and know which direction you're heading at all times.
Does it make you feel there's anything in your direction right now that you should change, because otherwise you'll end up where you're heading?
No, not at all. I think for me personally, there's always a lot to change, but I'd like to be as present as possible and notice those changes as and when they come.
Dude, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing, Rocco.
Cool.
Can I ask Walter and Israela next?
Okay, I'll go. Stop leaving and you will arrive. Stop searching and you will see. Stop running away and you will be found. And that's, yeah, I felt like you can't escape yourself. There is nothing to see, and acceptance and surrender.
That is so cool. And just, can you read it for us one more time again? We might have lost the
Stop
connection.
leaving and you will arrive. Stop searching and you running away and you will be found.
Really cool stuff. Really basic, hey? But all of his stuff, I like the way Sanette said she discovered him saying that when you try too hard with your mind to understand it, you might not understand it. But it's really basic stuff, hey? Walter, what is your favorite quote by Lao Tzu?
Yeah.
So I got one. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. And it worked for me because I don't like planning things too far ahead. It allows for too many things to mess up with those plans. I'm quite spontaneous, and I hate, the cliches of life that you need to be at this age, you should be doing this, at this age, you should be that, and that's what they mean. Like, you must set these plans, and I don't like that. Is the worst thing to do to people because it locks them into this sort of thing that people have to, the society thing, or this whole, like, I just don't need plans. They come up anyway, and plans just happen, and I like things to happen naturally and not planned or forced. So that's why that's quite relevant to me. I really don't appreciate planning things too much, and I really prefer the world and the universe to just spring them upon me. I accept those far better than something that's been planned for. It's more of a miracle that way. If I planned and I just you lose the excitement for me, if I can say. Like, I would never plan a holiday more than a week ahead of what I'm going to do because I can't. And then for the next 6 months, you're waiting for this holiday or this, and that just relates to a lot of other things.
Okay, so your
Not
video...
just a holiday, but you put this thing 3 years, we're going to Europe in 3 years, and then that just would kill me because I'm constantly thinking 3 years about my trip.
I love your sharing, Walter. I really, really, really do, because I encounter so many times that the biggest issue for so many humans is the thought that by this age, by this time in my life, I should have ... And that, to me, is the biggest killer of the human spirit when you reach 30 and 40 and 50 or whatever it is. I love that share. I appreciate it so much, Walter. Thank you.
Sure,
right.
Thank you.
Next on the list, I am going to ask Hershida.
For me, the one that I enjoyed the most or spoke to me the most was the best fighter is never angry. So I think with generally with me, I have a temper, and I feel that my sometimes, or I'm learning to control my emotions, or I have this thing where I think that I'm too emotional and that's a bad thing. I'm recently learning it's not necessarily a bad thing, but so that's something that just with fighting, it's I don't know, you don't have to always be so, it's not about the emotion, it's the message.
So will you read the quote for us again one more time?
The best fighter is never angry.
The best fighter is never angry. And it does speak so clearly to a fighter has a job to do. He has to physically fight and physically hit somebody, and we sort of kind of expect there to be anger involved, but it seems to say that we can do what needs to get done without necessarily feeling emotional about it.
And sometimes you have to fight as well. You don't have to just sit back and hope that things will get.
Right. So the message you take from that is that sometimes we do have to fight. I like that, Herschel. Is there any specific example in your life that going forward you'd like to apply fighting a little bit harder?
Maybe more just in general relationships that I have, obviously family and friends. And if I do have to fight with them, I think one of the things about me is that when I'm angry, I cry. So that defeats the purpose, I think, because you get just emotional and then the message gets lost. Everyone's just like, oh, you're so emotional. So I think that's something that I need to work on.
Thank you so much for sharing, Herschel. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Ange, can I ask you to go on next?
Sure. My favorite quote is, nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. Because we are so, the society we live in is so rushed. Everything is about getting to your next goal, that we don't take the time to just enjoy the process. Yet, as they say, everything in nature is just done. It's not as though it's set any goals for itself. It just knows, and everything is done as it should be done.
Yeah, so just read the quote to us one more time.
Nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished.
And that resonates so nicely with Walter's message as well. Nature is never in a hurry, yet everything is accomplished.
Well, that was one of mine actually as well. It was my second as well.
You had that on your list
the
as
last
well.
two that were there were both mine as well. The fighter and nature doesn't hurry. It just adds up. Like, there's no rush to do everything. Let nature take its course, essentially.
Yeah.
That is awesome. We're also on the same page. Right, Sonette, if I could ask you to share with us your favorite words again.
Okay, my favorite words, 81 verses long, it's called the Tao Te Ching. It's all good. But at the end of the day, what really resonates with me is be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you.
Power.
When you realize there's nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Is there any... Yeah.
And obviously, those have journeyed with me through this experience I'm going through will understand where I'm coming from.
That is so beautiful. Thank you very much, Sonette. Now, I want to make sure, did I forget anyone? Is everyone had a turn to share their quote?
Yours, Pierre.
Yeah,
yours.
Cool. Let me find mine quickly. I did forget that I have to share mine as well. Let me get the words in front of me. Right, so this speaks to me so much. This has spoken to me in so many various ways lately, and you guys who know me well will have heard this over and over again. And then I found Lao Tzu speak the same words. At the center of your being, you have the answer. You know who you are, and you know what you want. And in this journey of all of us trying to figure out, who am I? What do I want from life? What are my goals? What's my purpose? Why am I here? If you experience any of those questions, what it points at is not having delved deep enough to really find you yet. There are still some layers, and it's almost like just to trust the process. The process is go inside, find you, find who you are. If you don't have the answers yet, that's okay. There's more you to find. There's more layers you've built up that's still in the way. So don't panic. Don't worry. It is inside you. If you trust the process, you'll find it. Peel back the layers. Keep going inside. Keep finding some silence. If you don't have the answer yet, it's simply because there's more you to find. And that's what that one means to me. It speaks to me so, so much. So what I want from my panel of experts over here is to give us a vote from 1 to 5, from 1 water buffalo to 5 water buffaloes. We've not delved into the Tao Te Ching yet. We've only looked at some quotes from Lao Tzu. And from these quotes of Lao Tzu, have you been able to find relevance? How much relevance from 1 water buffalo to 5 water buffaloes does this have in your life? Now, I've got to mention we've got 3 minutes before this session times out, and if we have yeah, well, let's do that. Let me get to gallery view. So everybody's cameras must be switched on, and you can use your Walter and Ezreal. I've lost you on the camera. I see your 5 there. So with your cameras on and your hands, give us from 1 water buffalo to 5 water buffaloes, where Marcella's got two herds of water buffaloes. How relevant has this first verse or first quote been to you? Walter and Ezreal, we don't see your water buffaloes yet.
I don't think they can hear us.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Everybody's got 5 water buffaloes for their quotes from Lao Tzu. Guys, thank you so much for jumping into this first video of the Tao Te Ching. So we're calling this series a Tao a day. We won't be putting out a video every day. I'll be placing in the links for anyone else who'd like to be on the panel of experts of life, to share with us their views as we go on through all of these videos. But the next video will be the first verse, and what I'll do is whoever lets me know that they want to be a part of the next video, I'll send you the first verse in a couple of different translations, because the different translations also shine the light quite differently on the verse and the meaning of the verse. And then instead of searching for quotes, we'll discuss that first verse.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much,
Perfect.
everybody.
Teach it.
What's that, Marcella? Do you want to take crypt notes?
Yeah.
Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Thanks. You
Thank
too.
you so much
Everybody
for
have
joining
a
me.
fantastic day. Bye.
So there you have it. 5 out of 5 water buffaloes for Lao Tzu, and how relevant his words might still be for us today. We'll see if the rest of the Tao Te Ching is still as relevant for us now. What stood out for me from my panel of experts was the quote that Marcella chose that says, "A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, 'We did it ourselves.'" Wow, I love those words on leadership. I have never thought of leadership in exactly those terms. And to put it in slightly different words, what it says is, a really good leader leads so well that when his job is done and the people have reached the goals that needed to be reached, they will feel as though they weren't led, but they did it all themselves. That's definitely my new motto for leadership. I am definitely taking that with me for sure. If you enjoyed this, if you want to see all the other episodes of A Tao a Day, please like the channel and click on the notification bell so that every time there's a new video, you'll know about it. And then if you want to be one of the experts on the panel with who I can have a bit of a chat and see whether any of the upcoming verses of the Tao Te Ching is still relevant to you or not, then go to my website. The website is www.onemindonline.com. That is onemindonline.com. go into the menu, and in the menu look for a DAO a day. There'll be a form for you to fill out, and then I'll email you, and maybe you can be one of the panel of experts to help us explore the 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and come along for the ride and see what this video project turns out to be. Have a great day. Until the next one, ciao ciao. I want to remind you that what is inside of you is a fearless creator. You were created to create, and the only thing holding you back is your own fear. If you want to be supported on your journey toward embodying the fearless creator that you are, then you really should consider joining One Mind Academy. Right now, you can join for free and receive support daily. From there, you can choose to join the Fearless Creators for weekly meetups, and if, in the future, you need private coaching, you will already be connected. Just go to www.onemindonline.com, that is onemindonline.com, and click on Join One Mind Academy to see what it's all about.